All right.
Are you guys familiar with the clearing?
Hey.
I live right on the border outside this city where people pay horrendous taxes, and so you get this wonderful stuff.
Yeah, and you're walking the dog?
Say hello to Mojo. Wait, you see Mojo? I can't tell if she's in frame.
Ah, that's a nice place.
There we are. Yeah, it's very nice. There we are. Mojo, say hey, Mojo. There she is. Okay.
All right. So it's amazing, Dan. You got did some cool stuff overnight. You're up all night apparently. I'm surprised to see you awake now. It's only
it took about 4.
Have you been to bed?
Yeah, it took about 4 hours yesterday. It was only 11 p.m. when I stopped last night.
Well, we're looking at the two approaches: the RabbitMQ approach and the SQL to RChain approach.
This one seems like a little bit of a hybrid, but anyway, keep going.
Yeah, and so we may end up with a hybrid here, but this is the RChain mirror branch of RChat.
Well, the RChat's not the repository. That's the directory. The repository is RV 2020, for better or for worse.
The RChain voting 2020. So I guess the idea is that this RChat is going to the Zulip chat is going to be employed in the voting process, possibly.
Right. Right.
Or at least for governance is a purpose of it.
Right.
So, and Dan just puts code wherever he happens to be working. He doesn't.
Yeah.
We probably should move this to a sequel to RChain repo. But okay, so
feel free to open an issue.
RChain replica of Zulip governance discussion. RChain replica. Zulip does that. Okay, Zulip governance is to be determined what that is. It just uses Zulip, right?
Right. There's sort of a working example. If you go into the RChat channel, there's a screenshot of some really wonderful governance going on. That one, I think. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
You can see what they're deciding.
Yeah, this was a voting interface here. So yeah,
and they're voting on. They're voting on.
Color, right?
The color of
bike shed.
Bike shed.
Yeah. It's a classic governance issue in all throughout computing. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Are you familiar with bike shedding?
No.
No.
Okay, look it up sometime.
You want to tell us?
It's that the less in depth an issue is, the more people have an opinion on it. And so there'll be something like the color of the bike shed, which matters not in the project, but it takes the project 8 months to figure it out because everybody has an opinion.
Right. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, really figuring out what's worthwhile is a big
that's
part
one
of
of
the
the jobs
problem.
of it.
And most organizations are very bad at it.
Well, that power rests with the board as far as the annual meeting.
Yeah.
So we trust their wisdom. And if you're voting for board members, that's one of the things you should be looking for.
Yeah. Okay, so So
All right, so
using a largely unmodified Zulip installation. Okay, you say largely, we listen to the database modifications events. So the only modification is that you're listening to database modification events?
yeah, you'll see the next 2 paragraphs down, or 1 paragraph down, you'll see the modification.
So yeah. So you're exposing the database port.
Right, that's the modification. The rest of it's layered on top.
Use an SQL IDE, such as dbeaver.
SQL IDE.
Yeah, it's just an integrated development environment for writing SQL. You know, I use one of these all day. I usually use SQL Developer by Oracle, but after years and years of looking, I found this thing called dbeaver, which is an open source thing that does a lot of the same thing. I should have made that on link because it's just a wonderful tool.
Yeah, most of us just use PHP admin, my PHP admin.
Sure, that works. That's a very similar sort of IDE. That's an IDE as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Postgres is sort of a unique database. You really need something that does Postgres.
Well, yeah, the Zulip folks have wedded themselves to Postgres, which is fine. Postgres is as good as any other, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, that's right. They don't care either, so they must be not using specific stuff.
Oh, I didn't see any options for other databases, but anyway, carry on.
I saw a list of them somewhere.
Oh, okay. But the point is, I found that I just browsed the database and found where the messages go. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Browse
database. Yeah.
Sweet. So so you're using the listen and what is this? We can see messages as they arrive. Okay, and it's in chainmirror.js.
Yeah, that's a bunch of JavaScript code that listens to the database events as they happen and translates them to RHOLang, and then for now it just writes them to a disk file.
Well, we have chain replica. We don't have chain.
Sorry?
We have a chain replica file. We don't have a chain.
So typo.
So this, okay, so this should be chain replica, right?
Right.
And then the chain mirror deploys this code.
It should deploy it. Right now, it just writes it to a file for you to deploy later.
Sweet. Okay, I want to implement the forums that we have in PyRChain in JavaScript. I think those are so cool, so easy to use. You know, you make a template for each, code snippet you want to deploy, and you put in variables you want, and it replaces them nicely. It'd be nice if the PyRChain templates also worked for JavaScript.
Yeah, you just use template literals in JavaScript. If you look at that chain replica thing, that's all it does.
Let's see. Yeah, I guess maybe it's too easy in JavaScript, huh?
Yeah, there's an idiom where you put SQL in SQL files, and we should put RHOLang in RHOLang files. So it does make sense.
Right, that's more what I was thinking, is that we
want
to separate the functionality, the RChain functionality, from the JavaScript logic.
Well, not only that, but when you're editing RHOLang, editing it inside of a string inside of JavaScript, you don't get syntax highlighting and stuff like that,
Right, and you end up with quoting and all kinds of other issues.
Right, exactly. My dog has gone into the creek and she is struggling to get herself out. This is interesting.
Oh, no.
Okay, but you can, if you go back to the README, I don't know if you want to go back to the README and just look at the actual RHOLAG that gets generated.
Right. So,
Come back this way. Right. So, are you familiar with triggers?
yeah.
So
I mean,
the nice thing about the listen thing is you put a trigger in there, and it fires once for each row that gets inserted. And so even though an insert statement could, in general, insert all kinds of stuff, and now the leash has gotten caught on a branch, you've really gotten yourself into a fine mess, haven't you? Oh, she's really stuck. Okay. Right. But that one, I forget what it says. It's too small for me to read. Is that an insert?
Yeah.
So it's got a call to, it looks up the database, calls inserts, and then it specifies the table name and then all the data that goes into the record. And you'll notice that the record has an ID attribute, ID property.
All right. And if you're using a broker for doing this, this would be the broker's account.
Right.
His deployer ID. So this looks fine.
Sure.
So we're going to insert this now. This is.
So I think the next section in the README talks about how the actual insert works, if you're curious.
So the observer message, we're going to insert. Then we do something else. And then we insert into server reaction.
Yeah, I gave it a thumbs up.
Oh, be nice to have a comment here. Okay, you gave it a heart. Okay. So message ID 59. So okay.
Okay, got the dog. How do we get out of here?
So we can use this iodb.rho file to create a database.
Yeah, very simple one. Yeah, the interesting thing might be the test.
Is it it's a table, or is it a database? Oh, that's create table. It's a database, right? Never mind.
It's a set of tables. Yeah, and you can only insert one row at a time, or update or delete. You can see the tests at the bottom. Come on, girl.
So so what are we looking at here? We exactly the output from what?
I'm not with you yet. I'm climbing out of a creek. What characters do you see or words?
Okay, the ID the IDDB test output.
Right. So if you want to look at the test part of the RChat, it's kind of interesting, mildly.
Okay, so we have to look at the input and understand the output.
Sort of.
But
or you can just take it on face and we can go to the next section. Your choice.
a created player
Right.
table. It inserted a key.
And the with means those are there's an empty set of keys before this insert.
Yeah, I'm not following this. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm not awake or what.
Well, right. Okay. So, well, I mean, that's just a bunch of log output, right? It's not. It doesn't necessarily make any particular sense. Stop video.
Yeah.
But if you want to look at the RChat, it'll show you how to use the IDDB contract because it's got a little test section there.
Yeah. Where is the test? I don't see it.
It's towards the bottom of the .rho file. I'm not seeing your screen anymore.
Yeah, you stopped sharing.
There's the, okay, these are the files. I don't see anything that says test in the files.
You won't. Just look in iodb.rho and look towards the bottom for testing.
IDE. Okay. Testing.
Right.
So, channel lock. IDDB, right? Channel. So we created DB. We get a DB
Right.
database back, and then we log that, so we know we got here.
Yep.
Contract log keys. Okay,
So
log keys is we want to do it is thinking we want to something we want to do with this database.
Yeah, it's something, you know, it's a little piece that's factored out because I wanted to do it several times.
So we give it a label and we give it a key. Okay, so this is almost like a key values.
Well, right, right. Each table is a key value store. That's kind of what IDDB hints at, right? It's got to have an ID column. So you might want to skip over log keys until you see a call to it, and then it'll make more sense in context.
Okay. And then we actually create a table called player.
Okay.
And then we read channel, which I guess says complete when the create player operation is complete.
Right.
We ignore what is returned. And we report that it's done.
Yep.
Okay, and then we do an insert player nil. I have to look up, see what the third argument is supposed to be here. And we have a map, ID 123, name P rows, average 400. So
pretty good hitter.
Player database. We're adding Pete rows to our player database.
Right. And all the methods go insert, and then the table name, and then the old value, and then the new value. So when you're doing an insert, there is no old value.
Repeat that.
All of the database methods have the method like insert, and then the table name, player, and then that third argument is the old value, old data in the record, and the fourth argument is the new data in the record. When you're doing an insert, there is no old. When you're doing an update, there will be an old.
Interesting.
So that's why it's nil there. It mirrors the structure of the listen stuff.
Okay, so when I do an update,
which we'll get to soon, I guess it's the next thing, huh?
Yeah. In the player table, if we look at the ID of 1, 2, 3, that's where we put the old value. And,
right.
And that's the Pete Rose record, right?
Yep.
And all of these tables have an ID as the first field.
Yep. Yeah, the field order, this thing's not sensitive to field order, but it is sensitive to field name.
Oh, really? So it's the field called ID.
Correct.
All right.
Hence the name, iodb.
Yeah. Okay, so that now we we got some new evidence, and we cut his average down.
Right.
Now we counted his Little League scores. Okay, and then we update it, then we delete the record. This is all very sweet, Dan. Very, very nice. I don't know if we want to look at any more of this thing. See how it does an update, how it does delete. Okay, and
your choice. Kind of cool, but it's pretty straightforward.
okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I want to work my brain anymore this morning or not.
Right. So go back out. So, but what we've got here is we know what the API looks like, right? Because we've looked at the test case.
Right, and this is very simple.
Right.
Very simple code. All right. So where are we? Are we done?
No, I think there's more. Let's see.
Zulu private, DB private to deployer. Wait. Yeah. A Zulu DB private to the deployer. Okay, so we're going to make the database, and we're going to create tables. It looks like we just created one table of user messages, right?
There's message and user message.
Oh. Okay, we create two tables. Created with.
And that's saying, these are the tables I already had when you asked me to create another one.
Over there.
So this is just your output.
Yeah.
Mirroring the DB actions on chain. use make do mirror to deploy dbactions.rho to RChain.
It just does an rnode deploy, and then you can see the logging of the inserts and updates on chain.
So it doesn't deploy for each one of these inserts.
No, it currently it writes the whole set of transactions to one file and then deploys the one file.
Oh,
That's not ideal, but that's the way it works currently.
well, I mean, it would make sense to batch them. I'm trying to think how that's going to work. I mean, if we're getting each event, we're getting triggered. The simplest thing is just to deploy the one whenever we get one.
Right, yeah. Just last time I was trying to actually deploy code from JavaScript, it wasn't working. It was getting really frustrating. It takes 3 minutes every time you want to test, and so I didn't want to do that. So what I do is I write it to a file, and then I use Thomas Roth's page, and I use the custom deploy thing. And well, actually, I do have a make file that will deploy to my local validator. Anyway, I just didn't cross that bridge. Many people have, so it's, that was not the innovation. So I didn't work on that.
Interesting. Oh well. Exposing Postgres port from Docker container.
You add 2 lines. So. Oh, so we could talk a little bit about hosting and this. So Zulip has a pre-configured droplet. I used the Docker deploy thing, which they actually don't recommend as much because it's new and hasn't been battle tested.
Right.
But they do offer a droplet. So if you wanted to install Zulip in the collab and start paying for it, that's an option. I also started it running on my Colo node.
Thing is, wholesale internet.net is a lot cheaper.
Okay, that's where my Colo node is. That's like that it's running there. Zulip is running there. It's not hardened in any way. There's a bunch of things that say replace with secure password.
Yeah. So currently on my internet warehouse wholesale internet machine is running Big Blue Button, which actually is not mine anymore. I turned it over to Digital Life Collective. Well, maybe I need to get another machine on wholesale internet. I wasn't using it for the R node, so I mean, I had an observer running, but there was really no purpose to it.
Turned it over in that you no longer have the keys, or you're sharing the keys?
I have, I still have keys, but I'm sharing them, yeah. And I turned the billing over to the collective, over to the treasurer.
So I have no doubt you could run both services on one machine.
Yeah, that would be interesting. As if, but basically it would be an RChain thing. I don't know if there's anything about running a bunch of them. The other thing we could do is we can run a Docker image from Cloud.run, so we can run it for free on our Cloud.run, right?
I don't know how that works. Can you do Docker Compose? This thing has got several Docker containers.
It's a relatively new Cloud Run capability, which I have not used yet.
In what way is it free?
It's free in that we have Cloud Run machines that we're already paying for. Okay, we have the Divi, basically the co-cloud system, which you've used. You're an admin on that. Where we have the Divi down machine. So if you I suppose we shouldn't spend too much time on that, but on this mydividow.net, I'm sure you're on here. Dan C. here.
I ran into Mary while I was out walking here.
Oh, that's interesting. This is not the Cloud Run. This is not the DigitalOcean membership. This is the Cloud Run. And let me make you an administrator in the Cloud Run as well. You're already an administrator in the DigitalOcean, and this machine is under a DigitalOcean account, which we could look at if we wanted to. Log into DigitalOcean and select co-cloud. Okay. How to package an application for Cloud Run. That's not what we want. We want Cloud Run, Docker. I don't see this exactly. I mean, there was Cloud Run, Docker. I don't know, apps. Install Docker apps. I just saw something. Oh well. So we haven't done it before, but it looks like we could deploy Docker images on our machine. And you know, maybe Cloud Run is the thing we want. Maybe we want to move the Cloud Run to a wholesale internet account and save some money. get a lot of space, a lot of disk space, terabytes.
Yeah, if the governance committee wanted to seek $40 a month, we could get a lot of stuff done.
I don't think we really need to spend 40.
We're getting wholesale internet stuff for less than 40.
Yeah, I mean, how much do they want to spend? If they want to spend $10, we have two choices here.
Oh, right, because you don't need tons of RAM to do this kind of thing. It's not like we're running a validator.
Right. So, you know, I mean, and some of the, here we have 4 cores already here for $15 a month. I mean, this thing's pretty screaming. Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, we would need more. Probably $25 a month if we wanted to run a node, right? But this machine for $25 a month could probably run everything we're doing. And one of the main reasons we need and once we have a location on the net, we can tunnel apps running on our own machines that, you know, without exposing our IP address.
Yeah, what brings that to mind?
Well, we're running it on our own machine, Theo and I, in using
Running what?
WSL, running RChat development
Oh,
versions, and so we can expose them through SSH tunnel. And why are we looking at this? I mean, we used it with Scenario when people were running nodes in Scenario, and you know, we created a SSH tunnel to expose them, their Scenario instance, without exposing their machines. And then we're talking. Oh, yeah, a friend of mine is building controls for aquariums, and he wants people to be able to access their aquariums from their phones and such remotely. But yeah, so rather than them having to get a public IP address, etc., and connect through whatever, you could use a tunnel. Never mind.
right. Sure, for development stuff, it makes sense. But for me, it's like, man, the whole point of having a colo node is so you can run the service there instead of, you know, at home where it might fall over at any given moment. But anyway.
Well, the thing is, everybody has the same problem. You know, it's like horsepower and disk space is going to be really expensive. But at home, it's almost free.
Right.
Get these huge drives for $50, whatever. And so it's really, it's not what everybody wants, but exposing the local system on the net, they're saving money. I mean, we can have hundreds of people sharing the machine. So we're in essence putting, 100 times as much horsepower on the net, to exaggerate things a bit.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we?
We're exploring deployment options.
Yeah. Um, I, I think, I guess Theo and I haven't worked out it. We're going to use SSH tunnels. But it would be nice to have I mean, obviously the co-op wants to put up an actual service on an actual machine. And it could be a problem because, the co-op really doesn't want the liability of it. It's almost like we sort of have to do this independently.
Well, no, we can't do governance independently.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, so I guess that's an agenda item. They have to get a governance machine. And they can probably get one cheap.
Yeah, $10 a month is fine. And it could be that the governance committee is willing to, shell out $2 a piece for the next 3 months to avoid going through the co-op's finances. But we would want to use things like the co-op's domain name and trademark and things like that.
All right. So we should. So Steve, did you make a note of that?
Yeah, I'm going to go into the governance log, and I'll make a note. I'll add that to the agenda item.
So the part where the rubber hits the road is the domain name.
Okay.
Hello.
So let's pick a name to propose.
Okay. So this is just help me get oriented. So this is we're talking about the RChain governance. RChain governance is going to have its own server for all the voting and so forth. Does this domain name have to include RChain in its name somehow, or?
Yeah, it has to end in .rchain.coop.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I got you. So it's off of the root there.
So we can call it chat.rchain.coop or decide.rchain.coop or zulip.rchain.coop, although I'd rather not prejudice it to any particular technology.
Right. Okay. Now, is this the domain name? So this is more. Is this where we're going to be doing all? When you say chat.rchain.coop, so
I think it should be gov.rchain.coop. I mean, it's not restricted to chat. It's for governance.
That works. And if you want to be slightly less king of the world, you can call it gov20 or gov1.
Oh, right. Okay.
In engineering, it's rather hubris to expect to get it right the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice if to have permissions to create, or for us to be able to create chat.gov.rchain and other servers.
Yeah, but hold on, don't go meta on me, Jim. This is going to be a huge battle to get it across Ian's desk as it is. Let's pick one name, please, or two.
Yeah, and we don't care what the name is.
But what we care about is that it's actually delegated to the actual governance committee who actually have the root key. None of this, everything has to go through ION stuff. I mean, the domain name has to go through ION, but after that, Ian, I know somebody else who goes by ION.
So, is there anything else on our chat we want to go over?
So which name do we pick?
Which name? Well,
Correct.
you know, I guess we didn't come up with a final recommendation. I suppose that will be decided by the board or by somebody.
Yes, but let's allow them to just give us a one-bit answer. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not require them to think and get them down. Give them an excuse to go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. To help me understand what an appropriate name would be, I guess I'm trying to understand what the scope of what the server is. So so I understand. Okay, so just kind of backing up. So working on this RChat Zulip project, which is create a chat application which has governance capability for voting. So is this server that we're spinning up, is this for this broad project of RChat, which is going to have this voting capability, or is it a smaller sub portion of that?
It's services as chosen by the governance committee.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay.
Trust the governance committee.
Okay. So this is okay. It's going to be more narrow in scope. This isn't. It's not part of that more broad RChat project that Greg is working on, as far as with the chatting and with transferring of rev and so forth. This is specific to governance for the RChain co-op, for voting and so forth. So it's more narrowly defined.
I don't see that it's more narrow. The governance committee may well choose to use RChat as its first service.
Okay, so okay, so it can still use RChat as its first service, but even using that RChat service, it has its own server separate and distinct from the RChat. And by having its own server, it has its own right. It has its own instance of everything. So it.
Well, yeah, I mean the RChat. It's not like separate from RChat. The RChat project doesn't have a server right now, right?
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to get a better understanding of what the scope is of what we're trying to decide. If these decisions that we're making are impact this, have a bearing on this larger RChat project that everyone's working on, or is this more narrowly defined with specifically with the RChain governance?
Again, it's services to be chosen by the governance committee. That's all anybody else needs to know.
Let's put it, to put it into context, Steve.
Okay.
The in the previous meeting, we learned that the purpose of RChat was to serve governance.
Okay.
Okay, now I think we should allocate some machine for doing that. Which, if there's a free machine somewhere, we can do it. Wholesale internet has really cheap machines.
Okay.
We know the co-op is strapped and doesn't want to spend anything for
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I remember from that earlier discussion, when Dan asked, who's going to be the customer, the buyer seller, what's the user story? Greg said, well, the co-op is going to use this. We need to have our own version of this RChat application for our governance. So yes, okay. Now
And that
I'm
means-
having
And that
so-
means that
Right.
it has to understand, it has to
okay. So
understand who
the
the members are of our chain in order to govern them, in
Yeah.
order for it to be used for governance. How to have those.
Oh, what our chain has is we have a $1,000 a month credit through IBM incubator program. It's a free, and I think we're just we're working towards maxing that out. We were at 800 and something. So now whether IBM has well, we Ian and Gurinder, they can speak to what capacity is still left and available on this IBM credits that we have. So, that's free to the co-op. So,
Okay, but what's not free, the only thing I care about is the domain name. All the rest of the stuff can be
right.
decided independently. What we
Okay.
have to do is get the co-op to say that they endorse this. And for all I care, the name can be a UUID. It can be a great big long random number .rchain.coop.
I would, I would say that it would be sufficient if we had gov.rchain.coop or chat.gov.rchain.coop. What I say? So, I mean, obviously it's a chat. Obviously it's a gov. So
No, it's not obviously a chat. It's going to interact with validators and stuff. There maybe want to be a listening node and
right. Well, that's one of the things we want to serve from it. So, yeah.
So
Ideally, we
Yeah.
want to be able to have a name that we can manage. I would say gov.
Yeah.
So gov.rchain.coop could have any number of hosts that are .gov.rchain.coop. And
Right.
in other words, we need a host name for every service that we offer.
That's traditional. Yeah, that's best practice.
Okay. No.
But we need the simplest thing would have been to say, Ian, here's the IP address. Please point gov.rchain.coop to that IP address. But if we want to do the subdomain thing, we could say, okay, here's our name server. Ian points gov.rchain.coop to that name server. That's more elaborate, so it complicates life, but I could get behind that proposal.
Okay. Now, I don't want to complicate things, but my understanding is that there's an initiative to move away from this, dev.rchain.coop type of domain structure to where our blog.rchain.coop to where it's going to be rchain.coop/blog. So is that going to?
That won't work in this. That won't work in this instance because that means all the services have to be administered centrally, and the big thing here is decentralized.
Okay, I got
Delegate
you.
to the governance committee.
Okay, that was helpful. I needed to get an understanding of the what was going on behind the scenes. And let me ask another question. So if it is gov.rchain.coop, so do we anticipate that co-op members, the membership will be going to that gov.rchain.coop and they'll go to a web page, and on that web page perhaps they would be voting. Do we anticipate that, or what do we anticipate? Okay, so I think
so
gov.
For example, you might see a Zulip instance there where you chat and vote. Yeah.
Okay, I think gov. So I like it because it's short and it's very descriptive, and it's non-specific, but it's it communicates what it's about, which is in governance you have voting, you have ballots, you have all of these decision making. So it's broad in that regard, but it's in this, the governance world. And gov is short, so it's easy to type. So I think based on the conversation that we've had, I tend to favor gov.rchain.coop.
Right.
And, here's an, Gary put in an example here of what we have. What this instance should be used for. And what's this instance? collab.zulubchat.com. Okay, experiment.
So did gov.rchain.coop for services chosen by the governance committee get written down in the governance channel?
Yeah, I'm on my iPhone, so I'm limited on. I made a note when I'm in front of a computer. I can go back and make it nice and pretty. But it's yes. Let me go back and look what I wrote here.
You can see that.
Yeah.
You can see my screen.
Yes. Right? Yeah, I got my screen. So I have two bullet points. I'll go back.
I'm not looking at. I'm talking about Discord.
No, I'm talking about. Oh, no, I'm in the art. Oh, no, this is the RChat log. So bear with me. I'm in the wrong.
The governance committee does its business on Discord currently, right?
Yes, that's the communication when there's governance related discussions. It's in. That's for the public. There are other things that go on in the meeting. Yeah.
All right, I'll go home and type it myself if it's not clear. All right. I don't know why everything has to be so complicated. Life is difficult.
No, Dan, I can I can go into the governance agenda and add what we discussed as bullet points to be discussed during the next governance meeting. And then once it's discussed, if there's any decisions made, then it can be shared in the governance channel. I think there has to be
There's pointers both ways. There's pointers both ways, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer, here we only have three people on who are in the governance committee, discussing this. I think out of courtesy, it needs to be discussed more broadly with the governance committee before it's shared, with the broader membership. I think we owe
anyone can make a suggestion to the governance committee, right?
Sure.
So I can just go into the channel and type whatever I want.
Yeah, I think it's more appropriate if it's going to be just a topic of discussion. I think if it's coming from a governance committee member, there's a sense of, hey, this is official. There's been a decision made, and there hasn't. So that's my only. I don't want to give that appearance that we're making decisions here more broadly for the governance committee.
It would be I suggest blah blah blah, or I propose blah blah blah.
Okay.
So what are we going to use the free trial? Or we really do want to run our own system, right? The alternative, we either get an RChat, rchain.tulipchat.com, and we have them run it, or we run our own. We want to run our own. And when the trial runs out, we're not going to pay for, to keep it. So we're going to lose everything.
Yeah, it has to be self-hosted. Otherwise, we're not walking the walk of decentralization either.
Yeah, but I think this decision tool on here, the polls are awesome.
They're good, but
okay, they're not really good. I mean, this doesn't seem to be great for a huge number of voters. But in terms of making decisions in, within interest groups, so to speak,
Right.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, you
It
can see.
reflects a lot of experience in any case.
Speaking of polling, I wonder to what extent this could be used for governance. And then I put a question mark.
I don't know if there's any way to stop people from adding options, and so it's hard to exercise the traditional powers of a chair, from what I see.
Right, but that should all be norms anyway. I mean, not for large numbers, it can't be, but
Yeah, if we can do it through norms instead of enforcement, that's cool. Come here, Papa. You went in the creek, so
I mean, you need the ability to undo what somebody did.
right.
All right, well, Gary's leaving. Was there anything else that we wanted to cover? I think I'm ready for my nap or breakfast or lunch or something.
Yeah, I've got a 10:15 thing.
Okay, very good.
All right, guys, great. Awesome stuff, Dan, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. We appreciate your hard work.